That's better. You know, there's so much garbage floating around the internet on how to optimize your website. And the truth of the matter is, it's just articles copying articles. So everything you research is just regurgitated from somewhere else. And 99% of the time, it just so happens that it's companies trying to sell you a service that are putting these articles. And these also are the same guys showing you page speed scores and saying that that matters the most. Now I'm here to tell you that all that stuff doesn't matter. Now you must be wondering, why am I saying that? The truth of the matter is, not one of these agencies or developers know exactly what search engines are actually looking for. Google or Bing or any other search engine keep their search criteria a trade secret. The only fact that matters, and these search engines say the same thing, is that we should build these websites for the user and not for search engines. This is their business. They know better. So they know when someone is stuffing a page full of keywords, and they know to ignore that. They also don't care how many H6 tags you've put into a website. Well, why is that? Well, it's for the user, remember? It's not for the search engine. So a client doesn't care about your H6 tags. The client doesn't care that you put a keyword 43 times inside a page. Did you ever have a client that refused to buy a product because you didn't put a description in the image? Of course not. You know, most websites these days are built on a CMS. Now, CMS is a content management system. Now, all of them, it doesn't really matter who you choose, are built really well, and they do all the heavy lifting for you. So there's only two main things that you really have to worry about. So I'm going to tell you about them now, and as well as a couple of extra tips just to help you along. So let's go for a walk. So the first thing we're going to talk about is pictures. Pictures is actually a very important thing for page speed and client experience in the website. The first thing you have to know about pictures is that you can't have them too big. Okay, so the maximum size that you should have on your website is 1920 by 1080. This is the default for high definition, and you don't really need anything bigger than that. Most of your clients are going to be on a mobile phone. The second thing you need to know is that the file name and description is only important if it's a product. If it's a background picture, don't worry about it. It doesn't matter. Do you want a client to go to your website and download a background picture? Or do you want your client to go and actually buy a product? Now that's the difference. So focus your titles and descriptions and all the time that you're going to spend on them on actual products and maybe the logo of your company. But besides that, don't worry about it. If you have more than one picture for a product, then name them how you took the picture. So what I mean by that is the one a front view? Well, say like, this is an Apple front view. This is an Apple side view. You know what I mean? And if a picture is to a background of some section of your website, don't worry about it. The last thing you need to know about pictures is the file type that you save it as. A PNG or a TIFF or something like that isn't very good for a website because they're very large formats. The best formats would have to be something like JPEG or WebP. So remember those three things about pictures. Don't have it too big, so 1920 by 1080 is fine. Don't worry about the file name and description if it's not a product. And just save it as something like a JPEG or a WebP. And the second biggest factor about your website is the server. Do not skimp on your hosting. Believe me when I tell you that cheap hosting costs you more than what you think. I know that we're all looking for the cheapest deal possible, and these shared hosting packages look like a really good deal. Some have like unlimited space and unlimited domains and free domain. Believe me, the things that actually matter most to a website, they don't advertise. So unfortunately, you will have to spend a little bit of money on your hosting to make your website improve. So when researching on what host to go for, look for things like, do they use an SSD? Do they give you more than 2 gigs of RAM? How many CPU cores are they giving me for this product? The better the hardware, the better the performance of the website. Makes sense, right? So those are the two things that you really need to know about a website. Be aware of the images that you're using in your site design, and don't go for cheap hosting. It's not that hard, but there are a lot of articles that are going to confuse you. So let's talk about a couple of other things that are not as big of an impact, but do make a little bit of a difference. Okay, something that doesn't really matter but has to be said is these H heading tags. So H1 is generally just the heading of the page, the name of the product, or the heading of an article. H2 tags are subheadings and H3 tags are subheadings. Now, you don't need to have H3 tags. You don't necessarily need to have H2 tags. It's not a requirement. Some people are going to say, oh, well, you need H5 and 6 and you have to have all of them. You don't. You only have to use H tags just for formatting. But outside of that, you don't really need it. It's just nice so that the user can read the stuff nicely. So if you don't have a need for an H3, 4 or 5, don't put them in. So yeah, H tags are not mission critical on your website. It's just strictly formatting, just so that the user can read it easier. And here's the final tip. If you're using a content management system, one of these CMSs, and you're using one of their built-in editors, then this doesn't actually apply to you. If you're using a third-party editor, say like on WordPress, you'd be using Elementor or WP Bakery, then this tip does apply. So these page editors actually put code first onto the page that they're constructing. So when the search engine goes onto that web page, it doesn't actually read the text that you put into designing that page. It actually uses the code that the page editor used to construct that page. So a free way around this is to download something like Yoast SEO. Now, I'm not sponsored or endorse them in any way. It's just something that's easy to use and freely available. Now, you don't need the pro version of this because they do try to upsell you on it. But there is a feature in it that you can put your own description and title on every page. Now, this is handy when you're sharing your pages to social media, because obviously the social media is just going to spit out the code of the third-party editor. When you have downloaded and activated the Yoast SEO, just go to the pages and give a proper description of that page, as well as a picture to represent what that page is about. If it's an about us or something like that, you can just use your company logo. But if it's a product, then put the product picture as the picture used for social media within the plugin settings of that page. It sounds a little bit complicated, but when you see it in real life, it's very easy to do. And that, my friends, is what you really need to know about page optimization. When you have these things down, and you can concentrate on things that actually matter into your business, and that's sales. So don't be afraid of using pictures. There's so much bad advice about only using 1 or 2 pictures on a page, and that's nonsense. Use as many as you need to make that page really stand out, because that's more important to your customers. Remember that they're going to tons of different websites looking for the same sort of service or product, and making a web page that really stands out against your competitors is so important. So now don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you have a question, please put a comment down below and let me get back to you. With that, I'll see you in the next one.